Welcome back. This morning, we're putting our spotlight on the Sean Combs sex trafficking case and whether the prosecution is doing enough to secure a conviction. Take, for example, the testimony of the woman known as Mia. She was Diddy's personal assistant for 8 years. She described how Combs mistreated her. She said that he raped her. Here's some of her testimony through court transcripts and AI voice technology.
How did you react when that happened?
I just froze. I didn't react.
How did you feel?
Terrified and confused and ashamed and scared.
Did you want to have sex with Mr. Combs?
No.
How long was this assault?
It was very quick, but felt like forever.
The defense, though, pressed her on why she kept on working for Diddy.
You wanted to work and continue to work for Mr. Combs and his industry businesses, right?
I wanted to continue. I wanted to continue following my dreams. I was finally making real stuff, and I had a separation from them.
And that means that you wanted to continue the work at that location with Mr. Combs and his businesses. That's my question. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so does Mia's testimony help advance the government's case? Let's bring in someone who's been in the courtroom watching some of this trial in person. She's there in New York where it's taking place. Court TV's senior director of courtroom coverage, Grace Wong. Grace, good morning. I can't wait to talk to you about this. So give us your take, if you would please, on Mia's testimony.
Good morning, Julie, and thanks for having me. You know, I was in the overflow room for Mia's testimony, but we could see and hear her testify. And the judge had gone through great lengths to protect her privacy. In fact, the prosecutors had initially asked that the feed to that room be cut off so that you couldn't see her. But the judge decided in the end that that overflow room was an extension of the courtroom. So we were able to see and hear her testimony pretty well. And she was very compelling on direct. She gave a very emotional description of being sexually assaulted, waking up to Diddy on top of her and penetrating her. And she was really reluctant and again, very emotional. She was weeping during the testimony and described, she had trouble. She struggled to even say the word penis, and that he had used one hand to remove his pants while penetrating her. And like I said, she really struggled to give the details and was very emotional during that testimony. But she also said that this was something that happened more than once, or at least she said that she was sexually assaulted at least 3 times that she gave details about, and one time that it was that she couldn't remember the details, and that's how often it appeared to be. It certainly wasn't the first time that she described being sexually assaulted by Diddy. So her direct examination was very compelling, and clearly she seemed very traumatized by what happened to her.
Right. Grace, I've heard it being described as just harrowing testimony on direct that she gave. You could feel what she was feeling. It was that emotional, as you described. The cross, different story, as I understand it. Brian Steele, who we know is an outstanding lawyer. I said he was my legal hero when he went to jail for Young Thug because of doing what was right and saying, I won't violate client confidences. And he didn't. He stood by his client. And now he's on the Diddy team. What was the cross like of her? Did it undo what the government did on direct?
You know, ultimately that's a question for the jurors, but he was very effective in basically bringing out her lack of fear of Diddy. He went through post after social media post on her account, and having her read back what she posted, her statements, her statements about Diddy. And this is during her employment, after the sexual assaults. And one thing I think that he was very effective at was recalling the posts that she made on November 4th. Each November 4th, she would post a birthday message to Diddy, which is the first day or the first incident that she described on direct of being sexually assaulted by Diddy. On that day, when he was celebrating his 40th birthday, she said that he cornered her in the kitchen of the penthouse suite that he had rented for his party, and kissed her without permission and put his hand up her dress. And then the next memory is that she's waking up in a chair with the sun rising, again suggesting that he drugged her and sexually assaulted her. And she didn't refer to it as an anniversary, but the lawyer Steele did refer to it as an anniversary. And on each subsequent birthday after this, she would send him or post a message wishing him a happy birthday, telling him how much she loved him and how much she appreciated the work and how he inspired her, which is not what you would think someone would say to their abuser or someone that had raped them. So, and these are messages that come not just during her employment, but messages that follow years after she's left his employment. So, and I'm talking, as late as August 2023, she's reaching out to Diddy, telling him how much she loves him. And so if you're Diddy, I think it would be reasonable to think that, this woman loves him and the sex was consensual.
Wow. Grace, this is tricky. We were just touching on this in the segment before about how it's very rare, and you know this from all of your many years of such great journalism work in the courtroom. It's very rare that you get a perfect victim. It's messy. The lines are blurred. In terms of what Mia has legally done, and I would love to break that down with you if we can for a moment, seems to me in my reading of it that she corroborated the claims that Cassie was sex trafficked, that she would keep tabs on Cassie and very much as a witness to Cassie's trafficking, and that also she experienced the crime of forced labor, being made to stay up for 5 days in a row, having things thrown at her on the job, her arm slammed in a door, forced to perform oral sex when she's at his house, doing things for him that are part of her work agreement. What kind of a picture was painted with respect to that for you, please, Grace? The forced labor, did it seem like doing her job was a nightmare at times and that things were forced upon her?
That is certainly something that she described. Very challenging work conditions, harrowing to the point where she wasn't even able to go to the bathroom. And when she resisted following one of Diddy's orders one time because she had to go change her tampon, she had not been able to do it. And she had waited till there was actually blood trickling down her leg. And that when she went to the bathroom, instead of promptly following an order to go to IHOP to pick up food, he threw a bowl of spaghetti at her. So certainly the work conditions and the demands on her were really severe and put her in a very challenging position where she did fear losing her job if she didn't follow his orders.
This is so helpful. You're such a great storyteller, Grace, and when you're relating this, I mean, it's chilling to think about that. Nobody should be made to work under those conditions or have sexual acts forced upon them, and forced labor is, as you know, a federal crime, and if the government has proven it here with her, and it sounds like they have, it can count as one of those predicate crimes, we've talked a lot about in the big overarching racketeering conspiracy that's being alleged. Grace, this is excellent insight. Thank you.